Welcome to the Voices of Hospice Leadership podcast, the show that reveals how to take your hospice to the next level. We cover all things hospice, from marketing and automation to billing and operations. You'll also hear from professionals in the industry as they share their stories of success and practice growth tactics. Here is your host, Brian Frantz.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today with me for the podcast is Lisa Glynn of Golden Rule Hospice. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome to have you. So why don't you start with a little bit about your business? Tell us how long you've been in business and take it from there.
So the name of our company is Golden Rule Hospice. We've been in business for the last 9 years. I've actually been in business in healthcare arena about 27 or 28 years. My partner is Don Edwards. We actually have 2 offices that are within the Metro Atlanta area. We have an office in the Alpharetta area and an office in the Atlanta area. We have about 70 plus employees. We focus on hospice, make sure people are taken care of at the end of life, hence the name Golden Rule. We're overseeing 18 counties within the Metro Atlanta area. And our goal is just to make sure that people die with dignity and compassion. That's our biggest thing.
Awesome. Die with dignity and compassion. Love it. So you said you've been in business 9 years.
Yes, we have.
Okay. I think we started working together in 2020.
We did.
How have you, what changes were made in the last 5 years that have you be where you're at today?
Well, meeting your team, that has changed us dramatically. Yeah. Prior to us meeting you, we were basically networking out and about. We have marketers who go out and market our services and make people aware of what we provide, but we were not very present on the internet at all. So it was very different for me when I was approached and asked about whether we wanted to expand our footprint on the internet. I was a little hesitant about it, but it has definitely worked out for us. We've seen an increase in the amount of calls that we receive. Typically, we would go probably a couple of months without getting a phone call from someone unless it was networking, just on the boots ground working on the networking. Other than that, we didn't get a lot of phone calls. But now we see that there's more traffic because of the internet, because people can Google us and find us and see what our ratings are. And so that's just increased quite a bit. Been very significant.
Awesome to hear. Yeah. I know the amount of reviews has definitely increased for both of those locations, and we see it, and thousands of people are viewing those reviews every single month. So
yes,
great to hear. Can we go back and talk about how the business got started? Like what a brief history of back in 9 years ago when you started?
So Don and I worked together previously in another hospice capacity. So he actually was the owner of another hospice that I worked for. And so I was a clinical director. And so at a time when he grew the business to about 250, 300 patients, he decided to sell the business and he moved into a different place and space. But I remained in hospice. And so after about 3 or 4 years of him being away, he decided to get back into hospice. And so when he did that, he connected with me and we all sat down, had dinner together, our spouses, and kind of talked about what could be and the possibility of what could be. So that started Golden Rule Hospice. And so we kind of bounced around a couple of different names, decided to go with Golden Rule Hospice because we wanted to abide by that golden rule and treat others the way we want to be treated. That started with us having an office and a footprint within the Alpharetta market, continued to grow from that perspective. And we just have been very, very blessed and very fortunate, but it's a lot of hard work. Definitely being a small hospice in the Atlanta market is a lot. There are 250 hospices within our market alone.
Wow.
So out of there nationally, 7 of the top 10 hospices are based in the Atlanta market. So we always have to do something to make sure that people know that we exist and who we are. Because when you're playing with that many large hospice companies, it's very easy to get lost in the shuffle. So we had to make sure that we did things and do things that made us stand out and set us apart. So getting in contact with you and your team allowed us to do that and set ourselves apart.
Right. Yeah. So you guys were in business 3 or 4 years when before we met. What was so primarily what you guys had your marketers out there? What else were you guys doing?
Networking, part of the Chamber of Commerce in different areas around our offices, partnering with home health companies, home health agencies,
Yeah.
physicians' offices, partnering with them, and basically a lot of word of mouth, a lot of networking, which is good. But what happens is when you're out and about and there's so many hospices and so much competition,
Yeah.
it's very hard to set yourself apart. And so people know that you provide great service, but they hear you say that, but you have to prove that and they have to see that. And so the value of being able to get the reviews and getting our name out there in the market helped us out quite a bit. So very fortunate about that.
Awesome. Yeah, and you guys have done the work, right? You guys are you guys are providing the service and asking for the reviews. So that's great.
Definitely.
Um, how did you guys start separate start asking for the reviews? Did you guys start in going right after patients, or did you start somewhere else?
Well, one thing we did was we actually, during one of our staff meetings, had a conversation with our team. And we
Yeah.
basically made them aware of the importance of us having a footprint, more of a footprint in our community. So we actually got our team invested in that. And so what would happen was we would ask them to make sure that the facilities were aware of that the physicians' offices were aware of that, and that our patients were aware of that. And so whenever they got the good responses from the families, we said, why not ask the families to go ahead and make sure that everyone is aware of the great care that you're providing? And so it started from there and it kind of built. And so right now we're at a place right now with 250 plus hospices, and we check very frequently. We're the only ones that have over 160 plus reviews. Other
Yep.
hospices may have 4 to 5, but have 160 plus reviews and still be at a 4.9. No one else is doing that within the Atlanta market, which is huge
Yeah.
for us. And that's a big selling point for us also.
Definitely. It is, yeah. And the way people, you're advertising online, people expect that there are some reviews,
Well,
and
they do.
they
And
they
I'm sorry
they
to
I
cut you
think
off. They do.
yeah, I think people may wonder if there's no reviews or just a couple, might wonder like how serious are they, or are they still in business? Like these things could happen subconsciously when they're doing that search. But you guys have done fantastic, and I applaud you for that. Um,
And one more thing I want to add is
please, yeah,
I always tell our team that people Google when they want restaurants. They Google schools for their
yeah,
children. They Google physicians. I mean, that's a big thing right now. Googling physicians to see who has the best bedside manner and see what
yeah,
his other patients say. So my thing with the team is end of life is something that we all have to deal with one day.
yeah,
Why not let people know how great the care is that we provide?
yeah,
Why not have them share that space? Because what's different in hospice is there are a lot of different medias that people can go down. And so we've seen every now and then you may see a commercial on TV for hospice, but that's not something that you typically will see all the time because it's a very sensitive subject.
yeah,
So the Google reviews allow us to have the families and have the people that we provide support to make their needs known and make sure they're aware of the service that was provided without being so intrusive.
yeah,
And then sometimes in situations they want us to share when we uh, share the reviews. Also, they allow us to post them on our Instagram or our Facebook and those different things. And so that helps
yeah,
us out also because
definitely.
it's just a very delicate subject. And so you just want to make sure that you are not, as I stated, intrusive and that you respect people and allow and understand that we're with them in a very small space and time, but we have to be very respectful of that time also.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah, I love it. Now I'm wondering when is the time that you guys ask for the review?
Typically, we'll ask for that uh, typically at the beginning of care or
Yeah,
toward the middle of care. Because what we
yeah,
find is toward the end of care is just not the time to go to people and have that because they have so much going on. But at the
right.
beginning of care, you're new to them, you're introducing a service to them that they have not had before, or they may have had it before with another hospice organization and it was not where it needed to be. So
Mhm.
we found that that time at the beginning typically is the best time to do it because that allows them to be able to express that concern or express those feelings of gratitude and appreciation at that moment. Whereas toward the end of care, it can be looked as being a little bit insensitive. And so we definitely don't want to do that. We
Yeah.
do want to make sure that people know that we appreciate and value all that they allow us to do for them. So beginning of care, middle of care, typically is the time that we do that.
Yeah, and I really think it did impact the culture once everyone on your team was on board And I think they also are now aware that if someone doesn't have such a great experience, they can go to Google and let everyone know, right? So I think it's
Definitely.
definitely I think it's done something there, and it's special to see and be a part of.
It is, because one thing that I would tell you is, so the little QR code, even on our business cards, a little QR code that goes directly to Google. And
Yeah,
so what I always tell the team is, I'm betting on you. I'm
yeah,
betting that every single day you wake up with that passion, that compassion, making sure you want to do things right. And so at any moment, people can look at that QR code on our cars, pull that up, and they'll see the good and the bad.
yeah,
And out of 162 reviews, I think we've only had two or three that have been concerns about we wish we could have stayed on longer. Um,
yeah,
Basically, it was that wish you could have stayed on longer, or if there's something you could change, this is what I would have changed. So to
yeah,
me, in the society of people always rushing to say something that is negative, to have that many positives
yeah,
is huge.
yep,
And so when I talk to other owners and I talk to other people in hospice, I always say that to have that many reviews is huge, because what you'll typically see for a hospice agency, you'll see 4 or 5 reviews
yeah,
and there'll be a 5 star. And I always tell people 4 or 5 reviews, I mean, that's my husband and my children. So
yeah.
basically, that's not really saying a lot. So to have
Right.
162 means it's a wide variety of people that are going in there. And people know that. And so our team is aware of that. So that means that when they call us and there's an issue or concern about anything, we're going to
Yeah,
jump on it, because we
yeah,
know that all we have in this world is our name. That's it.
love
And we
it.
want to make sure that we abide by that.
Yeah, it's powerful. That's yeah, and like I said, you guys have done such a good job, and I really did think it has done something special for the culture in at Golden Rule Hospice,
Mhm.
um, and obviously the reviews speak for themselves. So
That's true.
yeah, well done. Tell me your unique selling proposition. How do you position yourself in the eyes of your patients and families? What makes you guys unique?
A couple of different things. So, one thing is that our ability to maintain staff is great. So, from our clinical perspective, we have a 90% retention rate, which I think is huge, especially
Yeah,
in healthcare these days. A lot of people don't have a 90% retention rate. So, that retention rate is huge, because what happens is 54% of the people who come on the hospice typically transition within the first 30 days. For those who remain on for 6 months, 8 months,
yeah,
those people will know they'll always have the same nurse, the same
yeah,
social worker, same chaplain, the same CNA. That's huge,
yeah.
especially in a world where basically the nurse may change in some hospices every single week. They will have that consistency of that person being there.
Right.
So that's one thing. The second thing is that when the Affordable Care Act came out, they started measuring hospices against each other as far as how many visits and touches you had in the last 3 days of life and the last 7 days of life. So since they've been measuring that, Golden Rule Hospice has always been the top 5% of hospices that provide the most touches at the end of life. So
Hmm.
they rate us from a a county level, from a state level. And so
Yeah,
every single time, every quarter that that information comes out, we're always in the top 5%. So that's huge for us. That means that
yeah,
our nurses are going out more than typical, that our social workers are going out more than typical, and that the
yeah,
CNAs are going out more than expected. That's huge. And so those are things that set us apart, that besides, of course, that Google review number is always great. But those
yeah,
things always set us apart, so that when we have conversations with people, we'll tell them that. Also, we're the only hospice within our market. Uh, we started from day one contacting every single family to make sure that their needs were taken care of. And
yeah,
even though you're supposed to do that, we have a special person set aside who contacts every one of our families every single week to make sure that their needs are taken care of. That's from a clinical perspective, that's from a DME medical equipment perspective, that's from a
yeah.
supplier perspective. So then they have a person separate that if they have any issues or concerns, they can voice those concerns to that person and they'll come directly to me, and then we'll resolve those issues. So those are a couple of things that set us apart.
Yeah, I love it. So so you have that like weekly check-in with
Yes.
all your patients, kind of like a red light, green light. It's like, okay, this patient might need something's going on here. We need some attention here. Love that.
Oh,
I'm sure
definitely.
that has done that's why you're in the 90% retention rate. And then, yeah, so that
And
and
another thing we do, Brian, I would say is I think we do a good job of celebrating our patients and celebrating our team.
yeah,
So an example is every patient's birthday we celebrate.
right.
So the team knows ahead of time whose birthday is coming up. From going to that facility or going to their home, celebrating them. Um, there was a situation about a few years ago where I had a patient who came on service who was a friend of our family's, and I knew it was going to be her very last Mother's Day. So I got up that morning at 4:30 in the morning, put my scrubs on, went and met one of our CNAs over there and gave her her bath. And so her
Yeah,
family was kind of surprised that I did that. And so my thing to them was, I've known your mother for the last 30 plus years.
yeah,
And I knew being a hospice nurse, this is going to be her very last Mother's Day. So to
mm,
me, I wanted to make sure on that very last Mother's Day, she was where she needed to be, nice, clean,
yeah,
um, just in a good space. And she actually transitioned or passed 2 or 3 days after that.
mm,
So it just meant a lot to me and it meant a lot to our team to make sure that people die with dignity.
yeah.
Um, so just
They
little
were
things like
cared
that that
for.
sets us apart. Yes.
Yes, yeah. That's beautiful. The other thing that you said was you have um, your just like one nurse is that's their nurse. So they
Yes.
start to they build a relationship there, and it's not constantly shifting or changing. They might not trust this one as much as the other one. I'm sure that
Correct.
has really done some things for your retention as well, right? They build these relationships. If someone does stay on longer than a month,
Definitely.
yeah. Uh,
And it's been huge. I think another thing that we do a good job of, try to do a very good job is, Atlanta, people, we're notorious for a lot of different things. Besides the Braves and the Falcons, it's our traffic.
yeah,
So to be in 18 counties, to go one county can take 30 or 40 minutes, depending on what happens
yeah,
within the market. So we try to hire people who are within that territory so
yeah,
that nurse is not driving 30, 45 minutes one way to get to a
yeah,
patient, that they're very close and centralized to that patient. And that's helped us out also. So in
yeah,
our larger counties, we try to have 1 or 2 nurses that are truly based and live in that county so that when we have patients in that area, there's a situation or occurrence that happens, that nurse has a very short drive time to make sure that patient's needs are taken care of. So that's helped us out a lot also.
yeah. So strategically hired, and I,
Yes.
I do, almost every time we speak, it's like you're always interviewing people. So it's like, you know, very,
That's the goal.
yeah, it's great. Um, and maybe shifting gears a little bit now, talking about marketing. What does your marketing mix look like?
So with us being a couple different things, right now we have about 8 to 10 hospice consultants or marketers that work for us.
Okay.
Covering 18 counties, our biggest thing was trying to make sure that people truly centralized in that area. They didn't have a large territory. Uh, Always constantly hiring, training people, teaching people how to sell definitely the benefits of our services and not so much the features. Being that there are 250 plus hospices within the market, it's easy to get caught up in we're all doing the same thing, but it's how we do it.
Right.
How we strategically partner with particular home health groups, physicians' offices, skilled nursing facilities. Also making sure that we're part of the Chamber of Commerce in different counties that we're within. Going to different networking meetings with the Assisted Living Association and those different types of associations, the Georgia Hospice and Palliative Care Organization, just doing a lot of networking so that our name remains out there so that people are aware of who we are is a big thing for us.
Yeah. Okay. So networking,
Yes.
I heard that a lot. Do you do any like billboards or anything like that?
We don't do any billboards. What we've seen, even with 250 hospices, I could probably count on one hand within the last 15, 20 years how many billboards I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because one thing people don't like to talk about is death,
Yeah. That's right.
and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get that. I get that.
No.
But my
Yeah. That
biggest
makes
thing
sense.
is trying to make sure that they know who we are. And so that's where the online marketing has helped us out quite a bit because I've passed some billboards and I've seen every now and then, probably, I've been in the market for a while, there probably have been maybe 3 or 4 commercials I've heard on
Yeah.
the radio. It's just very hard because people don't want to talk about death and dying.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
understand that. Um, but we want also to make sure that they are aware that we're here. So that when they are ready to have those conversations, they'll know how to reach us.
Yeah. And so you said networking, and we do some internet marketing.
Mhm.
So you partner with home health agencies? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like how does that work out?
So it may be a sitter service or a home health company. So whenever a patient has a situation and they're in the hospital and they need some additional support, typically they'll contact the home health company, whether it be that the patient needs some additional support from a nurse at home. When
Yeah,
that patient gets to a point where that support is no longer needed and that patient is declining and
yeah,
that so that support is not being beneficial, what will happen is they'll need to be with the home hospice company that basically they can partner with, that can make a joint visit with them and have a conversation about what place are we at right now? Do you want to continue with the home health side, or do we want to look at something that's going to be more transitioning to looking at
mm,
the end of life, the decline that the person is having?
yeah,
So that partnership is very strategic, partnering with also the marketers in their field, also partnering with assisted living facilities, different communities so they may be in that particular person who's working in that community may be out and about in the community trying to bring patients into their buildings. But when that patient gets there, if something happens, they need to have a hospice company that they can count on. They can come into that building and provide support also. So
mm,
we are also partnering with the assisted living facility community liaisons, the SNF community liaisons, and also the discharge planners at the hospitals is very key also because when those patients leave the hospital, they have to have a place to go, whether it be a physical inpatient facility or whether they're returning home. They need additional support when they return home. So that's where we play a key role in providing that additional support to them.
mm, love it. Yeah, and being in business 9 years, right? You guys
Yeah.
have built up a lot of connections and a lot of referral partners. So well done. Um, what do you see? What efforts drive the most inbound or the most inquiries?
I would probably say our internet,
Mm,
just um, hospitals definitely driving people to compare different hospices has been a key for us. Once they start comparing different hospices and comparing our overall ratings, we're going to always stand out top. And
yeah,
so that's helped us out quite a bit. I think brought a lot of people to us. A lot of people will call us and say that the hospital or a referral partner gave them 3 or 4 names of different hospices, and they said, go do your homework, investigate that yourselves. Well,
yeah,
we will tell you who we utilized and who we're partnered with, but I want you to go investigate that. Once they
right,
do that investigation, typically 9 times out of 10, they'll go with Golden Rule Hospice.
yeah,
So that partnering, making sure that search engine, people know who we are, knowing that when they pull up hospice or hospices in Atlanta, that we pop up there and we're in the top 3 or 4 has been very key to us.
yeah. Awesome. And what any efforts that you were doing that you may have stopped?
So at first, initially, we were doing some mailings, and those
Yeah,
do not work too well for hospice.
right.
So we stopped
Are you
doing
doing the
that
mailings to doctors or to?
to physicians' offices, to assisted living facilities. And so one thing about Atlanta is that we always say we're in the metro Atlanta area because Atlanta truly is about 18 to 20 counties combined, a
Yeah,
lot of people. And so there's so many assisted living facilities and facilities that patients go to, whereas most cities, we have 2 or 3 hospitals, we have like 15 hospitals within the Atlanta market.
hmm,
So the mailings were a little pricey. Didn't always reach where we wanted them to reach. And sometimes people will just take your information, look at it real quick and kind of trash it, throw it in
yeah,
the trash. So that didn't work too well for us,
yeah,
but the internet and making sure that people knew who we were on different search engines definitely has helped us out a little bit more.
yeah. Awesome. Are you guys? So, what about social media? Are you guys using social media at all?
We are. So social media thing's been very different for me because I'm not very savvy in it.
Yeah,
So, well, but we've actually been using Facebook, Instagram. Just started with Instagram within the last couple of months, but the Facebook has been very good for us because it allows us to basically, when we partner with different people and do different things, to tag them into that. So that's
yeah,
also keeping their name very relevant in the community and our name relevant in the community. So that's worked out very, very well for us. I mean, people respond to that very well. Recently, when we actually within 2024 were named one of the top places to work within the Metro Atlanta area, that allowed us to get that information out there very quickly. And so we were very proud of that and allowed people to know who we were. Um, so yeah, we've done a little bit of Instagram, a little bit of Facebook. I need to do better with that, but we've done some of that also, and that's helped us out also.
Yeah, I think it was brilliant. You said that you partner with other care homes or
Mhm.
assisted living facilities. You tag them, right?
Mhm.
Now you're in front of their audience, and they're in front of your audience. So that's it's a win-win. Yeah,
It
it's
is.
awesome. Um, and what talking about some of the services that you provide, anything that you guys provide that other hospices in that area don't provide?
Yeah, so we actually, with hospice, of course, one thing that's the benefit about hospice is it's covered by Medicare, covered by Medicaid, and then you can also have some patients who are non-funded. So to me, the benefit is if you have this family or this patient who's 65, 70 years old, and the average cost of those medications can be at least $400 to $500 a month. So
Mm,
the cost related to that, to have that paid for by hospice is huge. To have someone come into your home to provide a bath for you, a nurse to be able to communicate between the patient, the family, and the physician is huge.
yeah,
Social services is very huge. This week is actually National Social Workers Month. You can never underestimate the value of a great social worker
yeah,
because I will tell you, they will, on the front end of us getting business, they will be that person that can guide that family to where they need to be. There's
yeah,
so many dynamics that happen that they play a very key role in make sure that those things are taken care of. So that part is very huge for us also. And then, of course, you have our chaplains, and the chaplains, of course, are providing that additional support. They don't take the place of that person's beliefs or try to force them into a certain belief, but they're also there. One
yeah,
thing that we also do very differently is we provide a care called transitional care. And that just
yeah,
means that that's not paid for by Medicare. That's a service that we provide because we want to make sure if a patient is not doing well, or if they're having a hard time adjusting to returning home, we will put someone at the bedside, make sure that patient is taken care of for 24 to 48 hours to provide that additional support to that family. And I know,
yeah,
know the hospice is doing that. And to me, that's key because if you want to abide by his golden rule, you have to do things a little differently. Cannot be
yeah.
done the exact way that everyone else is doing it. So my thing
Right.
is getting someone in the home, getting that family a chance to rest, relax, learn how to take care of a patient. Because I'm not sure if you've ever taken care of a person. That is a very hard job to do.
It is. Yeah.
Doing everything. I always tell our CNAs, there's nothing more personal than taking care of a person's body, bathing them, brushing their teeth, combing
Right.
their hair. You get no more personal than that.
Yeah.
So our transitional care allows people to get us to put a caregiver in the home to teach a family how to do that, how to care for that person. And that's something we're not charging Medicare for. That's just something that we feel that we need to do in certain situations when people have never had to take care of a person. They're bringing them home newly from the hospital, or
Yeah.
if a wife just found that her husband had a very sharp decline, we'll put someone at the bedside to make sure that they're taken care of. And I know no one else is doing that right now.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that definitely separates you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's the first I've heard of it. Um, well, awesome. What uh, what do you see coming in the next 6 months to a year with Golden Rule?
So there are different initiatives that Medicare's put out there, a couple of different things that are going to change kind of the way that we provide care and service, which are positives in that there's going to be more uh, bedside charting, accountability as far as different things that hospices are doing, which is very great. Uh, it will be very different for the small hospices because it'll be more regulatory things that are coming about. But what
Yeah.
I see in hospices, whatever they add on that's additional, we're always up for the challenge. We want to make sure those patients are taken care of. And to me, in some way, it's going to be a benefit, of course, to that patient, but we'll also make it a benefit to us because it improves the way that we provide care, service, and support to our families. So we're just very open to a lot of different things that are occurring and things that are coming down the pike. We try to stay on top of all of those things. Um, been very fortunate to be in business for 9 years, have never been tagged, have had multiple surveys, have always come out with those, doing the right thing, make sure patients are taken care of. And that's our guiding principle. And as long as we do that, we're going to always be successful. We will always make sure those patients are taken care of, our team
Yeah.
is taken care of, which is going to produce, make sure that we don't have people who are leaving our company. that retention rate is going to be the same, unchanged,
Yeah.
and we'll provide better care.
Yeah, I think you guys have put a lot of focus there, and it shows, right? Like you take care of your employees, the employees take care of the patients uh,
Definitely.
and the patients. Yeah. Um, awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. I do have one additional question. First, was there anything else that you wanted to share, express about our conversation?
I think the biggest thing to me is that even though there are different ways that we can market as far as in hospice, I think the biggest thing that a owner can do, especially a small business owner, is utilize what's available in different search engines,
Hmm.
looking to see which companies you're partnered with that can get your name out there. That's just a huge thing. And
Yeah.
until we started this partnership, I never realized that. I think I
Yeah.
just was one of those nurses that just kind of made sure the patients were taken care of, made sure the team was taken care of, but did not see the picture of making sure that people knew who we were, the branding part. I was not truly aware of how important that is. And so I would say to any small business owner, you have to make sure that that footprint is seen, that people acknowledge that it's there, and that it's positive.
Yeah.
Because you can have 5 reviews and all 5 can be ones or twos or threes.
Mm.
So you have to make sure that you get acknowledged for the work that you put in. And those
Yeah.
different search engines and partnering with people who can provide that to you is huge.
Yeah.
And I know I was not one of those people who realized that. And so I would say to anyone else who had a hospice organization or a healthcare organization, the importance of making sure that you are with a company that's going to make sure that you're in it to win it, to get your
Yeah.
name out there, tell you different things that you need to do so you can continue to grow and produce and make sure that your team is taken care of. So I think that's it for me.
Awesome, Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing. And to those of you listening, hope this was helpful. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please reach out. Um, but thank you again, Lisa. Hope to have you
Thank you.
again soon.
All right, sounds great. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
If you're looking to attract more families and share your hospice mission with a wider community, visit hospicecaremarketing.com/schedule to schedule your free consultation with marketing expert and founder Brian Frantz. Plus, join our free Hospice Marketing Mastermind group on LinkedIn to connect with other practice leaders and stay up to date with the latest strategies. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review. We'd love to hear from you.